Good day to you. This is the Story Lady, and we are in story number 7, titled Accidents, subtitled 1 Dangerously Derelict Driveway. We sure had many seriously sad accidental occurrences in our young lives, even apart from our pets dying. Denise seemed to fare the worst in that area of serious incidents and accidents. My sister had several times in her young life when she had met with real-life blows to her head, the first of which being when Dad drop-kicked her across the room, and then later in life she even succumbed to side effects of another hard hit that it caused. And that was up in Chicago, but I'll explain that later. And then there was that other time when she was riding in the car with our mother. Our driveway was very steep and curved, and it also became very slippery and treacherous when it rained or snowed. We had to literally hold on for dear life as Mom and Dad gunned the engine of our car, pushing the gas pedal to the floor, heading all the way up that slippery, twisting, rutted driveway to get us safely up to the house. Many times Mom had to give up and park the car right where it got stuck in a deep rut that caused the car to lean one way or the other, and had to wait for Dad to finish getting it up that driveway. And we had to carry sacks of groceries, only in brown paper sacks back then, all along the way up the rest of that muddy, rocky, rutted driveway in the dark most nights. And I hated that driveway. Those 2 younger brothers of us, me and my sister, loved it though. It was like a carnival ride for them. They would hoop and holler, but we hated it. We got all knocked around in that car. There were no seatbelts back then. I was always afraid that our car might roll back down the driveway and out onto the road when Mom would get stuck and then try to back out and start running up the driveway another way. I was always afraid of a car coming down that steep hill and our car at the bottom of the driveway in the road, and we would be hit. You see, there was that road in front of our house, and it was a blind hill. Our house was at the top, and at the bottom was our driveway. It was a sorry excuse for a driveway, I must say. Every time I said a prayer that we'd not be smashed into by an oncoming vehicle, because those men out there, mostly farmers, would simply fly up over that hilly road going way too fast to ever stop in time. By the time they topped that hill and saw us once again straddled across the road trying to get a running start up our driveway, it would be way too late. That never had happened, though, in all of our years of living at that home. That hill did prove very treacherous for some of our pets, though, and those are other stories. Anyway, we had to face that driveway every time we drove home from town. It was not any fun for me to look forward to that horrible, scary driveway at the end of our trip. We'd go out for the day and someone in the car would say it's really nice time that we had had that day, but I always reminded them that we still had to face that treacherous driveway when we got home. It was always there, waiting for us. Dad tried to tame the monstrous, slippery, sloping, twisted driveway, but to no avail. It always ended up being rutted and difficult to climb no matter what he did, the entire time of my growing up years. In later years, when I brought a 57 Chevy, I hated that driveway even more so, afraid my car would sustain damages that I'd have to pay for after I made one of those daring attempts to mount that stinking driveway. And I started to say a few paragraphs ago about the serious incidents that my sister had experienced. Okay, so one time my sister was in front of the passenger seat. She was riding shotgun. We always argued for that. Shotgun was a big deal back then. It didn't matter our size or our age. If you hollered first you get shotgun, you got shotgun. That was big time stuff, riding shotgun in the front seat. No seat belts and no laws against it back then. Mom would shut down that arguing really fast when she'd say that no one was riding up there with her if we didn't all just shut up and accept the one who hollered first. That time, however, was not the best time to win the toss for that coveted shotgun seat. We had just had a hard rain, and Denise was in that favored spot, acting like she was riding a bucking bronco as Mom proceeded up that sad excuse of a driveway. And all of a sudden, the car fell into one of those deeper ruts, and it dipped so hard it lurched forward. And Denise dipped and lurched with it and was flung headfirst into the front windshield, and it shattered, and so did her forehead. She fainted, and it took quite a while to revive her. We made no trip into town to the emergency room that night, though. Denise was never quite the same after that. She had not been considered quite the same as others before that, so it was really difficult for most folks to notice the change in her, but we knew. Frankly, Denise always had a different way about her from the start. She was special. Even when she started the first grade, the nuns noticed the difference with respect to comparing her to every other first grade child. Denise would just happily get up from her assigned seat at school and go over to the window to talk to a little birdie that had landed on the windowsill, or to speak to any other animal that came by to the windowsill for that matter. She was always doing things like that. She never quite caught on to the idea of structure. If it was daring, she wanted to do it. If it was strange, she was very interested in it. If it was forbidden, you better know Denise was going to attempt it. To this day, that has not changed with her. As fearful and as scared as I lived my childhood, with phobias, she lived her childhood life just the opposite as anyone could be from me. We were very different personalities, you see. She was daring and fearless. She even rides a Harley, the whole 9 yards to this day. I was and am so jealous of her guts and courage, and I also admire her so much for that too. Honestly, I wouldn't be caught dead or alive riding a wild motorcycle for fear of being pronounced dead at some point along that ride. But not my sister Denise. Bye.